I am biased. Iron Man Armored Adventures always kind of flies under the radar when the conversation of great comic book animation comes up. Yeah, I like Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Justice League Unlimited, the DC AMU, Static, all the TMNT stuff, and probably a hell of a lot more that I'm leaving out at the moment because my mind is blanking. But what about him? The show is such a departure from everything it's adapting, and while that might put people off initially, I think that's really the only reason why it works. It's an Elseworld story done right. The core, the beating heart of Iron Man is still felt throughout this series, which really only exists because a big action blockbuster of the same name came out a year before in, marketing. But regardless of any of that, it's that heart of Tony Stark, the heart that's been chewed up, spit out, and blown up that will always carry such a tenured comic book character in every adaptation to, as the title of this video implies, greatness. But to analyze how great this show is, and I mean it's it's really great, we have to start at the beginning. The year is 2009. Marvel Animation is in a pretty good spot, all things considered, with much of the praise going to writer and showrunner Christopher Yoss. Yoss helped deliver to us so many late 2000s Marvel animated bangers, such as Wolverine and the X-Men, Hulk vs. Wolverine / Thor, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and, of course, Iron Man Armored Adventures. Running off of this theme from last year's blockbuster hit, Armored Adventures starts off really different, introducing the audience to such a wildly different interpretation of the legendary comic book character. Tony Stark, Rhodey, Pepper, the people old enough to be your parents,
I'm 56 years old.
Damn.
they're 16 now and they're in high school. Tony Stark is a spoiled rich kid with the world at his fingertips, knowledge be at his mercy. He works with his dad, Howard Stark, under their company, Stark International. While on a flight, Tony and Howard's plane explodes, with Howard dying and Tony barely surviving with the help of his exosuit. Soon after the accident, he's taken into the care of one of Howard's financial advisors, Roberta Rhodes, the mother of Tony's best friend, Rhodey. Without his father, Tony enrolls in the Tomorrow Academy and meets Pepper, who has an overwhelming sense of justice and a very odd obsession with arresting people that has not aged well at all. Obadiah Stane, an associate of Howard, took over the company following his death and reverted it to its origins as a weapons manufacturer. Initially planning to use the suit that saved him for revenge, Tony saves a life instead. Multiple lives. In search of something so rotten, Tony stumbled upon something that never spoils, doing the right thing. But his head isn't all clear though. Tony meets a boy at his school by the name of Temujin, or Gene Khan.
Hey, new guy! I'm just gonna call you the Con. Is that cool? Con. Con!
Unbeknownst to Team Iron Man, Gene is the last living descendant of a man known as the Mandarin, who once claimed dominion over the 10 Makluan rings, one of which ended up in the possession of Howard Stark. Gene, in search of these rings, with the desire of preserving his father's legacy, befriends Tony as a mean of finding where they might be. His obsession with these rings comes from a place of anguish. The death of his mother, his last relative, at the hands of his stepfather, Zhang, has driven him to the insane lengths in order to claim what he believes is rightfully his. Tony and Gene both share this sentiment. Both are kids given a legacy and wanting nothing more than to preserve it. This is where Tony's dark side begins to show.
This is how we have to do it. Stay ahead of the bad guys, better armor, better weapons, better tech, whatever it takes.
And will that bring back your dad? Or fix your heart? Where does it end, Tony? How far will you go? Because I just saw your dark side. There's a line between you and the people you fight, and you're coming pretty close to crossing it, and I'm worried I won't be able to stop you.
Wanting to create weapons to keep villains in check, thinking that it's what his father would want for him, when in reality, to Tony, he's losing control of his life, of his company, and what his father stood for. To Tony, Iron Man has become the only way to take it all back. But then, being Iron Man loses all of its meaning. When people look to the sky, they don't see a weapon, they don't see a dictator or a mad ruler. They see a hero. It's Tony's friends, and especially Rhodey, that keep him grounded and remind him of what he's fighting for, to not become the violence that he uses. It's because of them, Tony realizes that although he's fighting for his family's name, he has one right in front of him. This is, however, where Gene and Tony's differences begin to emerge. Throughout Season 1, Gene uses Tony and his friends to locate 5 of the Makluan rings. And now that I really think about it, they kind of have the same dynamic as L and Light. Even though Gene has made memories with and has found community with these people in the process, he sells it all away for more power as if it meant nothing to him. But as selfish as he may be, even that wouldn't be true.
You told me this was my destiny, Mother. But you were wrong. Even with the power of all 5 rings, still I am nothing. There were 10 rings. The Mandarin had 10 Makluan rings. 5 more are out there. And their power will be mine.
In Season 2, the story continues with the introduction to Justin Hammer of Hammer Multinational, who's kind of like another mirror to Tony, even more so than Gene was. It's because of him that both he and Obadiah Stane acquired the blueprints for all of Tony's armors, allowing for the creation of villains like Titanium Man and Ironmonger. Soon after Hammer and Stane are defeated, Gene discovers the 10th ring, prompting a full-scale alien invasion from where the rings originated. Long story short, the Makluan, the creators of the 10 rings, had the rings stolen and given to an ancestor of Gene, as he was worthy to wield such power. The final episode sees Iron Man, War Machine, Rescue, the Hulk, Nick Fury, Black Widow, and Hawkeye defeat the Makluan, with Gene taking back the rings and disappearing. The show ends with Tony and Pepper requiting each other's love, Team Iron Man's identities being revealed to the world as they fly off into the sunset. Again, because I can't stop saying it, I love this show. I don't think I would be as into Tony Stark as a character without it. Kinda shocking how I ended up as a Spider-Man shill instead. Before a show so loaded, what happened to it? Why were no new plot points brought up? How come we never saw these characters grow up into the ones we know them as? It's almost always the answer to a lot of these questions. Iron Man Armored Adventures was one of the many Marvel animated projects wiped out in what I call the 4-year-long winter, where Marvel Animation underwent many changes to allow for a clean slate following the Disney merger. Shows like Spectacular Spider-Man, Wolverine and the X-Men, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Iron Man Armored Adventures all had to face the wall around this time. To a kid, it's like watching the sky fall. It's almost crazy to think about how different of a company Marvel was before all these changes took place. It definitely wasn't as serialized as it is today. Characters were their own IP and not often a part of something greater than itself. Every so often, it's great to look back on a time where that wasn't the case. I miss this era of Marvel, and with shows like X-Men 97 happening, it's not impossible that it could return in some capacity. Iron Man Armored Adventures is far from perfect, with less than desirable animation at times and weird characterization, but I can be appreciative of this show and what it gave me as a young kid. A future to believe in, and something to look forward to. Hello, all. I really did want to make a longer video, and I really am sorry for the wait. I know the last time I uploaded was July. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Very sorry for the wait. I'm gonna try to get something else out this month, so just in time for Halloween. So be on the lookout for that. I can't make any promises. That probably sounds terrible coming from a channel that has less than 1,000 subscribers in like 3 videos, but bear with me, okay? I'm gonna figure this thing out. This video originally wasn't going to be longer, but I just had to cut out a lot of video because of just how much it was repeating what other YouTubers had made in their videos on Iron Man Armored Adventures, and so this video had to get cut down, unfortunately. But I still wanted to talk about the series because I feel like the series does have a very, I shouldn't say very, but I feel like the series has a deep emotional core, and I feel like it goes into aspects of the Iron Man character that haven't been really explored all that much anywhere else, and so I decided it was a good idea to talk about it. Also, I fully believe that this show and Spider-Man, the new animated series, took place in the same universe. It has nothing to do with the animation.